Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we continue reading Canto 4, Chapter 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prostration of the Sacrifice of Daksha. Continuing with text 13 and going until text 21 for the purpose. I don't think there's anything on board today, right?
No. I've not written.
Huh?
I've not written because a small group I didn't write.
Sunday, not many people come up.
Generally, in a whole week, totally 10 people come.
Yesterday, it was quite big.
And that is because of you were there.
Oh, yeah.
I think today they're waiting for the evening one.
Okay.
If there's nobody, no Maharaj is here, then it's 10 people in a week.
Very sad, but slowly, Maharaj.
Hmm?
Very sad, but slowly, Maharaj. We'll try.
Okay, so text 13. Tavatsarudranu charair mahamako nanayudhai mamanakai udaidhai ingai pishangai mahakara dharanai paryadravadhir viduran marudyata. My dear Vidura, all the followers of Lord Shiva surrounded the arena of sacrifice. They were of short stature and were equipped with various kinds of weapons. Their bodies appeared to be like those of sharks, blackish and yellowish. They ran all around the sacrificial arena and thus began to create disturbances. Kechid Baphanjur Prak Vamshat Patni Shalam Tadhapare Sada Agnitra Shalamcha Tat Viharam Mahanasam. Some of the soldiers pulled down the pillars which were supporting the bundle of sacrifice. Some of them entered the female quarters, some began destroying the sacrificial arena, and some entered the kitchen and the residential quarters. Durujur Patrani Tataikigni Anashayan Kundesh Amutrayan Kichit Vidurvedi Mekhala. They broke all the pots made for use in the sacrifice, and some of them began to extinguish the sacrificial fire. Some tore down the boundary line of the sacrificial arena, and some passed urine on the arena. Abatanta munin anye eke patnir tatarchayan apare jagrihur devan prajasanam palaitan. Some blocked the way of the fleeing sages, some threatened the women assembled there, and some arrested the demigods who were fleeing the bundle. Brigum Babandha Manimandira Badra Prajapatim Chandesha Pushanam Devam Bhagam Nandishwaro Grahit. Maniman, one of the followers of Lord Shiva, arrested Brigu Muni, and Virabhadra, the black demon, arrested Prajapati Daksha, another follower who was named Chandesha, arrested Usha. Nandishwar arrested the demigod Bhaga. Sarva eva tijo dristva sadasya sa yuvakasha tar ajamana subrisham gravabir naikadhadravan. There was a continuous shower of stones, and all the priests and other members assembled at the sacrifice were put into immense misery. For fear of their lives, they dispersed in different directions. Hare Krishna. Jivata Sruva Hastasya Smashruni Bhagavan Bhava Brikor Gulun Che Sadasi Yohasad Smashru Darshayan. Virabhadra tore off the mustache of Brigu, who was offering the sacrificial oblations, with his hands in the fire. That must be pretty painful.
How can it tear it?
Somehow.
Very, very painful.
Bhagasya netre Bhagavan Patitasya Rushabhuvi Ujahara Sadastoksna Ya Sapatnam Asu Suchat. Virabhadra immediately caught Bhaga, who had been moving his eyebrows during Brigu's cursing of Lord Shiva, and out of great anger thrust him on the ground and forcibly put out his eyes. And so this is text 21. Pushnoya apadayat. Okay, you chant it. Pushnoya patadaya. Sorry. Pushnoya patayat. Pushnoya patadayat dantan.
Pushnoya apadayat dantan.
Pushnoya patayat dantan.
Pushnoya apadayat dantan.
Kalingasya yatha bala.
Kalingasya yata bala.
Kalingasya yatha bala.
Kalingasya yata bala.
Shapyamane garimani.
Sapyamani garimani.
Shapyamane garimani.
Sapyamani garimani.
Yo hasat darshayandata.
Yo hasat darshayandata.
Yo hasat darshayandata.
Yo hasat darshayandata.
Pushno hyapatayat datam.
Pushnoya apadayat dantan.
Pushno hyapatayat dantam.
Pushnoya apadayat dantan.
Kalingasya yatha bala.
Kalingasya yata bala.
Shapyamane garimani.
Sapyamani garimani.
Yo hasat darshayandata.
Yo hasya darshayandata.
Pushnoya patavadantam.
Pushnoya apadayat dantan.
Kalingasya yata bala.
Kalingasya yata bala.
Sapyamane garimani.
Sapyamani garimani.
Yohasa dashayam data.
Yo hasya darshayandata. Pushnohi apadayat dantan.
Pushnoya patayat dantan.
Kalingasya yata balaha.
Kalingasya yata balaha.
Sapyamani garimani.
Satyamani garimani.
Yo hasya darshayandata.
Yohasa dasayam dataha. Pushnoya patayat dantan.
Pushnohi apadayat dantan.
Kalingasya yata balaha.
Kalingasya yata balaha.
Satyamani garimani.
Sapyamani garimani.
Yohasa dasayan dataha.
Yo hasya darshayandata.
Pushnaya Pushno yat patayat dantan.
Pushno hi apatayat dantan.
Kalingasya yata balaha.
Kalingasya yata balaha.
Sapyamane karimani.
Sapyamane garimani.
Yohasa dashayandata.
Yohasha darshayan dataha.
Pushnaha
Pushnaha
of Pusha.
apusha.
He sins.
Sins.
Apatayat
Apatayat
extracted.
extracted.
Dantan
Dantan
the teeth.
the teeth.
Kalingasya
Kalingasya
of the king of Kalinga.
the king of Kalinga.
Yata
Yata
as Balaha
Balaha
Baladeva.
Baladeva.
Shapyamane
Sapyamane
while being cursed.
while being cursed.
Garimani
Garimani
Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva.
Yaha
Ya
who
Hu
Pusha.
Pusha.
Ahasat
Ahasat
smile.
smile.
Darshayan
Darshayan
showing.
showing.
Dataha
Dataha
his teeth.
his teeth.
Translation purpose by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Jai. Just as Baladev knocked out the teeth of Dantavakra, the king of Kalinga during the gambling match at the marriage ceremony of Aniruddha, Virabhadra knocked out the teeth of both Daksha, who had shown them while cursing Lord Shiva, and Pusha, who by smiling sympathetically had also shown his teeth. Purport. Here, a reference is made to the marriage of Aniruddha, a grandson of Lord Krishna. He kidnapped the daughter of Dantavakra and thereafter he was arrested. Just as he was to be punished for the kidnapping the soldiers from Dwaraka, headed by Balaram, and a fight ensued among the Kshatriyas. This sort of fight was very common, especially during marriage ceremonies when everyone was in a challenging spirit. In that challenging spirit, a fight was sure to occur, and in such fights, there was commonly killing and misfortune. After finishing such fighting, the parties would come to a compromise, and everything would be settled. This Daksha Yagya was similar to such events. Now all of them, Daksha and the demigods Bhaga and Pusha and Brigumuni, were punished by the soldiers of Lord Shiva, but later everything would come to a peaceful end. So this spirit of fighting between one another was not exactly inimical, because everyone was so powerful and wanted to show his strength by Vedic mantra or mystic power. All these fighting skills were very elaborately exhibited by the different parties at the Daksha Yagya. Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada is promising us happy end.
But isn't it, if you look at it, isn't it they're quite barbarical?
Yes. Well, this is Lord Shiva's followers. They're known for that,
Okay.
being barbaric. Like, I think this year it's the big Maha Kumbh Mela, right? And so many of Lord Shiva's followers come, and they're completely naked and covered with crematorium ashes. And many of them are Aghoris.
What's Agoris?
Aghori is the Lord Shiva's worshipper. And they, this is probably the most horrifying spiritual practices ever. Like comparing to them, even the Thaipusam festival will fade, because they live at the crematorium and they cover themselves with the ashes of the dead bodies, and to develop detachment, sometimes they eat, that when the body is cremated, some part of the body is not completely burnt. So they take that roasted human flesh and eat it.
Oh.
And they have to have a human skull to carry with themselves everywhere.
It still happens today.
Huh?
This happens today.
It is happening today. Yeah, you can check it out.
In Papua New Guinea also there is.
Serious?
In Papua New Guinea, I've been there for 4 years. I've seen they smear the ashes of the graveyard, and the little bit of cannibalism is still there. But that is different cannibalism, not spiritual.
Yeah.
But they also smear the ashes, especially the people in the mountain tops.
Yeah, you can check it out on YouTube. Just type Aghori.
I'll take your word for it.
Huh?
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty gruesome. But yeah, these are kind of spiritual practices, but very much in mode of ignorance. And very dangerous because they stay in these places, crematoriums, and there are many ghosts and spirits there, and many times these Aghori practitioners, they go mad because these ghosts, they enter into their bodies. But yeah, when all these guys, they arrive at Kumbh Mela, everybody like runs away from them because they carry these tridents and they are very easily irritated. They're, known not to be able to control their anger at all. And so if something is to their disliking, they can pierce people with tridents and kick them and do anything. And because these are sadhus, police will never interfere.
Serious?
That's India.
Huh?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
But also the police may be concerned that they do some black magic on them. If they
Yeah.
Give them trouble.
Yeah, that combination of different
Combination of
reasons.
two things.
They don't interfere, Naga Babas, just keep away from them. Aghoris, my God. And, they arrive in huge numbers. Normally they kind of scattered here and there along the banks of the Ganges. But for Kumbh Mela, they come all together. It's like a huge army marching, like all naked, covered with these ashes and with tridents. Anyway, these are Shiva Bhaktas for you. Of course, there are different shades and grades of them also. Some of them are a little bit more in goodness. But, the bottom categories.
They represent the entire range of the human thinking. There are very good people also in Shiva Bhakti.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Yeah, but the bottom range is nightmare. So, but here, I suppose the very bottom range was employed for this kind of work. And yeah, so Prabhupada explains very interestingly that I guess the most interesting statement in here I found personally, that this spirit of fighting between one another was not exactly inimical. And after reading all this description, you might wonder, like, it's not exactly inimical, like tearing out somebody's mustache and, plucking out eyes and knocking out teeth, and it's not inimical. So what does Prabhupada mean? So it means that it was authorized, that they were not doing that on their own behalf, right? But they were doing that on the order of Lord Shiva. So it was punishment which Lord Shiva administered on them. Right? So it was meant to be the corrective measure for the bride. Right? And in one sense, Lord Shiva is a Vaishnava, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, and this is what Vaishnavas do. They disrupt the proud, mundane religionists, right? Because this kind of thing is very much connected to caste system, right? Yesterday we were describing that Daksha was very proud of his position because materially, on the bodily concept, he was kind of superior to Lord Shiva, right? Because Lord Shiva was his son-in-law. And on those bases, he expected Lord Shiva to offer him respect, which he didn't. So that's why he became angry, right? And so this kind of mentality and behavior actually destroyed Vedic culture. That what Daksha exhibited here is still going on. And Prabhupada describes that Islam became widespread in India because of the abuse of caste brahmanas, of the Shudras and other lower class people. And he even described what was happening, that Shudra could not even pass by the Brahmana, because according to their strict smarta rules, if they see Shudra, then they consider themselves to be contaminated. Right? And that's why Shudras were supposed to announce before they go pass by Brahminical houses that I am Shudra, and if you see me, you can become contaminated, so please shut down your doors and windows not to see me when I pass by. Like that. And there was a lot of abuse, and still it is happening in India, right? And that's why these Shudras, they were so badly abused by caste brahmanas that they decided, okay, we have no shelter amongst Hindu community, so we better join Muslim community. At least there we have some position. Right? And so Prabhupada said, where the Muslims came from. They were all Indians, right? They didn't derive from Arab countries or anything. They were same Indians, right? But they've decided we'll be better off being Muslims than staying in the Hindu society, like that. So, and unfortunately, I mean, it is less, but it is still there in India. This caste consciousness and lower classes are so badly treated, like even today in India, it's a big issue with Dalit community.
Dalit.
Yeah.
Backward.
And yeah, normally they are kind of doing all kind of dirty jobs like trash removal and cleaning, etc., etc. And they are very badly treated, even killed. If Dalit wants to marry a this mentality of being very proud of one's Brahminical position actually caused the beginning of Kali Yuga, right? How Kali Yuga have started. Anyone knows? Anyone remembers?
Swami.
Shringi, yes, the very proud and ignorant Brahmana boy who cursed Maharaj Parikshit. Right? Because he was saying, "Oh, these Kshatriyas, they're like dogs." You know, because dogs are meant to protect, right, for protection. So Kshatriyas are protectors. So he said, these Kshatriyas are all like dogs. And dogs are not meant to enter into the house. Dogs are meant to stay outside of the house. And this Maharaj Parikshit, who is like dog, he entered the house, into the house of his master and offended the master, right? So you can justify anything. And then he cursed Maharaj Parikshit on those bases. And so this is how the whole Kali Yuga started. Because Maharaj Parikshit was the one who was holding Kali Yuga from entering, from ruling. But he cursed Maharaj Parikshit, and Maharaj Parikshit was removed, and then Kali had no one to fear. Right? So the whole Kali Yuga started with this very proud Brahmana boy who was thinking too much of himself. Right? So that's why Acharyas are saying that the most important verse of Shikshashtaka prayers is which one?
Third.
Yeah. Because humility, according to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text 8, is the first and foremost symptom of real knowledge. The first two symptoms Krishna is mentioning are amanipam, adambitvam. And amanipam means humility, and adambitvam means absence of pride. And Brahmanas are meant to be the guardians of spiritual knowledge and carriers of spiritual knowledge. And so if Brahmanas are not humble, they are not real Brahmanas. Because if someone doesn't have humility, that's the proof that one doesn't have spiritual knowledge. Why? Because what is real knowledge? As we were saying, like, it's all very elaborate, but the essence of spiritual knowledge is very simple. Krishna is God, and I am not. Short little formula Srila Prabhupada introduced, right? Krishna is God and you are not. Yeah. And so, who am I? A spirit soul. And what's the size of the spirit soul? 10,000 of the tip of the hair. So, what is it to be proud of? Not only that, but encaged in the body. And body is, what is the body? It's just a bag of bones filled with different unspeakable substances. And not only I'm like tiny little insignificant soul, but I'm carrying this corpse on me for so many years. And what is it to be proud of? It's like there is nothing to be proud of. Right? And so if someone, and one can become proud only due to ignorance. That's the only reason to become proud. And this is very amazing, that how people like that, such knowledgeable people, we might be wondering, like Daksha knew all the Vedas and he could recite them backward and forward. Didn't he read Bhagavad Gita? What happened to him? How come that he became so proud? Yeah. This is Maya. It can cover one's consciousness so easily. And that's why it's really important to make sure that this kind of, that this is very grave warning for everyone in this chapter, that this what can happen. These are the karmic reactions for offending Vaishnavas. Right? And of course, the higher level the Vaishnava one offends, the more horrible the karmic reactions one will occur. And so, because this is the first offense of the holy name. And so if someone is creating that offense, then one can destroy his spiritual life and even material life. That all the troubles, material and spiritual, follow. And so, and we become offensive when we become proud. The pride, because if someone is not proud, then why one should offend other people, right? Even if other people are offending me, okay. If I'm really humble and I can think, okay, that's good. They're offending me, they're actually helping me to advance spiritually, right? Like one story of one Brahmana Vaishnava who went to the Ganga to take bath and chant his Gayatri. Many times Brahmanas chanting Gayatri in the water, but sometimes they can also chant Gayatri after taking bath. And so this Brahmana, this devotee, he took bath and he went, sat under the tree in the shade and was preparing to chant his Gayatri, but there was one man who was very envious of this Brahmana, and he was thinking, oh, this guy is a pretender. He's not a real sadhu. He's just putting up a show to get some advantages from people. So I will expose him. And so he sat on the top of the tree and he started spitting on this Brahmana. And this Brahmana, he never even looked up. He just looked, okay, I'm covered with spitting. So he went back to the Ganga, took bath again, washed his clothes, and came back to chant Gayatri under the same tree. And again, this envious man started spitting on him. So this Brahmana went again into the water and took bath, and came back again under the same tree. Never learned the lesson. But by this time, this envious man, he realized that if someone can be so humble and so tolerant, this must be real sadhu. Then he went down the tree and he bowed down to this devotee and he apologized. He said, I'm very sorry that I was suspecting you to be unqualified, but I can see that you're a real saint. And the devotee said, not a problem. But then this man said, how could you tolerate this kind of offense? Can you please share your secret? And the devotee said, there was no offense. It was all Krishna's arrangement. Because nothing can happen without the will of the Lord, right? As Prabhupada says, not even a blade of grass can move without the Lord's sanction. So you were spitting on me, but I've realized Krishna from the heart was encouraging you to do this. Because even though externally I was clean, but my mind was not pure. And so you were spitting on me, so I've realized my mental impurities come to the surface like this. So then I thought, okay, let me take another bath in Ganga. And then you again started spitting on me, so I realized, okay, I'm not pure enough. So I went again to the Ganga, took bath. And then third time you stopped spitting on me. So 3 times I took bath. Because of your mercy. You helped me to become purified. So you never did anything wrong. So this is the mentality of someone who is really Krishna conscious, right? That such devotees, they don't take any offenses because they are completely free of pride, and they see what's that? Stavara Jangama Deki Taramurti, Ishtadeva Spurti, that they only see Krishna. That whether something is moving or non-moving, they see that it's all Krishna. That everything is part and parcel of Krishna. And Krishna is executing his plan through everything. And so they never become offended or upset by anything. Of course, this is very high level of consciousness. But at least it's good for us to know exactly what the goal is. Yeah. And so even if we are influenced by lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusions, at the very least, we will not try to justify ourselves. Because yesterday we were mentioning that the difference between devotee and materialistic person, that materialistic person is definitely must be affected by lust, anger, greed, and all other problems, all other anarthas. And devotee can also be affected by these things. But the difference between devotee and materialist is that devotee is trying to go away from these things. And materialist is going towards these things. Right? And so this, as long as we try to go away from these things, as long as we understand that this is wrong, and we want to become purified, then we will continue advancing in Krishna consciousness. But once we start justifying our anarthas and start embracing them, that's it. This is the point when our devotional advancement will be hampered. So this is really important. It's important for us.
The way you're saying that if someone criticizes us and for whatever we say or whatever we do, and we still justify that we are right, then it hampers our advancement. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if we are criticized and then we become angry, and that those people who criticize us and start fighting with them become offended. Yeah, and, it means Maya caught us in her trap.
So when we justify, it also means that we don't have a desire to become a better person.
Yeah. We think we're already good as we are. Already perfect. And then, as my spiritual master says, there is an American saying that, how come that such a great person like you is in such a place like this? We're so perfect, right? But then we live in Perth. Perfect people live in the spiritual world, Galoka Vrindavan. Right? And what is this material world? It's a prison house, right? And in prison house you don't go to find some good people. Normally prisoners are criminals, right? But interesting thing about prisoners is that they all think they're good people. They're the best people. And all these guys outside of the prison, they are worse than them. So it's like some story Prabhupada told about this. Oh no, this is Akbar and Birbal story. That Birbal was doing kind of playing the role of a judge. He was judging some criminal activities. And there were 3 people who stole something. Or can't remember, either stole or something they done. But it was the same crime. And so one had to pay like very small fine. The other one had to go for some little bit more punishment. But the third one was prosecuted very heavily, that he was to be like whipped, and his body had to be covered with some, I don't remember, something, some dirt, and he was put on the donkey like that, and he was taken around the whole city, and everyone was announcing that he's the criminal. And then the question came, someone was asking Birbal, maybe Akbar or somebody, that what happened, that, people committed same crime, but you gave them different punishment for this crime. Someone was given very light punishment, but this guy was given very heavy punishment. And he said, if you want to understand why, you go and check out how these people responded to the punishment. And the first one, who was given very light punishment, he had to pay little money and that's it. He was so embarrassed that he locked himself in the house, and he didn't come out of the house for a week because he was embarrassed to look into other people's faces like that. The second one, he was also feeling bad, feeling guilty, feeling remorse. But the third one, who was whipped and covered with dirt, and he was taken all around the city on the donkey, he was laughing. and enjoying, the riding on the donkey. And when his wife came out, he told her, "I'm doing okay. That after the donkey ride, I'll be back home. So make sure that you prepare everything for my bath and my lunch." So after having a ride, after enjoying my star hour, being very famous all over the city, I'll come back home and so get ready for my arrival. And that, so that this is what we call false ego, right? That no matter what happened to people, they just feel they're perfect. They think they're perfect. Right? And I'm pretty sure that in Perth there are quite a few people who think they're perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe this is where the name of the city comes from. Perth is meant for perfect. Right. That's why then not so many people come to the temple.
So hard.
Because they think they're already perfect.
Because it's quite heavenly here. It's quite heavenly here.
Heavenly.
Yeah. Weather is good, money easy to come by, you can make, go out work, no problem.
So people think they're already perfect, so they don't need to become
they got
perfect.
everything here already.
I'm living in Perth. What else do you want?
Yeah, it's true. Well, another question is, I feel that as we become a devotee, most of the people become devotees. I feel that they are the devotee are more sensitive to anything than even to the material people. Whenever we try to say something that is, to them, the sensitivity of it is so much more shown than when you talk to someone in the outside when you say something they're not doing right and this and that. Why is that? Why we devotee become so much more sensitive? Like, why are you telling me? I know I'm right. I know I'm doing it correctly. I'm doing my best or whatever. Why you have to tell me? Like, rather than someone in the public, you tell them they do something. You preach and then you tell them you're wrong. They sort of be a bit more receptive. But when the devotee get progress, I find that the sensitivity level increases higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, we call it pride.
But they're devotee. They should know. They should quash the pride.
Well, this is the thing that materialistic people, they are not following regular principles. They not rising early in the morning. They don't chant japa. They don't worship Krishna. They don't do so many things devotees do. And that's why materialistic people, they know they are not perfect. Right? And so you tell them you are not perfect, and they tend to agree with you. Okay, yes, I have a lot of things I have to work on, right? But you tell the devotee, and then the immediate response is that, do you know who am I?
Yeah, do you know I come to Mataji every day?
Yeah, do you know how much I've done? And who are you to tell me, right? That let's compare how much you've done and how much I've done. So these things are coming. And that's why, yeah. So Prabhupada explains that first trap, and there are only two traps actually on the path of spiritual advancement. The first trap, or the first obstacle, is identifying ourselves with the body, right? And this is a very difficult one to overcome. But the last, what he calls it, snare of Maya, right, is to think that I am God. Right? This is very interesting. It's kind of, we gradually getting out of that bodily consciousness. But then we get into that divine consciousness, thinking ourselves to be perfect, because, and this is really, I don't know how you go around it, that the more you become perfect, the more you become proud of your perfection. And the more your spiritual advancement slows down. Right? Because, like thinking I'm God. Who is God? God is perfect personality, right? So the more I think I'm perfect, the more I think I'm God. So, that's why, it's not a joke. I mean, it sounds like a joke that Krishna is God and I am not.
Yeah.
But, jokes aside, it's a serious business. Like we do start identifying ourselves with a perfect personality after a while. Very sad.
Yeah, I agree. And also, when you do more, then you get that praise coming in from people. Yes, people adore you and all that. You're so nice. You're so good. And then that's it. Your head go over the